Hi everyone, it's Reagan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. I am so looking forward to this reading vlog. We're approaching the official holiday season, though I'm pretty sure this is going to go live after the holidays. So with that in mind, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. But I'm so looking forward to my TBR for this video and just having a nice cozy reading time. But before I chat about my TBR, first a word from this video sponsor. Hi friends! So this video is sponsored in part by Saturn Bird Coffee. Obviously, if you've been here for a second, you would know that coffee is a big part of my life. Making myself a cup of coffee is one of my favorite rituals in the morning and the afternoon, on the go. But obviously, sitting down with a good book and a delicious cup of coffee is something that there's few things in life better. Which is why I'm so excited to be partnering with Saturn Bird Coffee, because honestly, they are the tastiest instant coffee I personally have ever tried. They're so fantastic if, for one, maybe you don't have traditional coffee around you to brew, but I've also personally loved it sometimes when I don't feel like making an entire pot, but especially when I am on the go. This is such a fantastic thing to reach for. But Saturn Bird Coffee comes in 6 different flavors, labeled 1 through 6, basically 1 being the lightest, 6 being the darkest roast. I personally love a nice solid mid roast, so 3 is my personal favorite. But each blend is made with 100% Arabica coffee and no other added ingredients. And they also each dissolve instantly within ice water within 3 seconds. To make your own cup of Saturn Bird Coffee, step 1 is all you need is a glass of water. Step 2, all you have to do is then dump the product within the water itself. Seal and shake if you're on the go, or you can stir like I'm doing here to enjoy at home. Saturn Bird Coffee is so convenient, again, on the go, but it's also handy to have at home, of course. You can also make different types of drinks. Obviously, you can enjoy it black, as it does perfectly dissolve within water, which I find to be so hard to find in instant coffee. This is actually very, very smooth. If you guys want to learn more about Saturn Bird Coffee, I will leave a link in my description for you guys to check them out and shop. But let's go ahead and dive back into the vlog. But my basic idea for this vlog was I wanted to read some books that I thought would be beautifully written, lyrical, transporting, maybe a little bit emotional, just like a wonderful book to read during a cold day. And both of these I feel like fit the bill. The first book is the one I feel like I'm gonna primarily focus on and hopefully finish. And that's Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is actually a reread for me, and when I read it initially, it was on my favorite books of the year. Unfortunately, I just did not get to the sequel, which I've been meaning to read for years. So at this point, I need a reread before I can wrap up this particular duology. But I recall loving this not only for its fantastic writing style, but it was emotional and also just a really unique story centering 2 main characters. The first is Laszlo. But basically, Laszlo has spent his whole life being fascinated by the lost city of Weep. Everything about this city has been lost, including its name, but Laszlo spends his days trying to learn as much as he can and kind of become the historian of this particular location. One day, a group of people actually arrived to his town from this city. No one has interacted from anyone for many years. And now they're gathering experts from a variety of different fields to take them there to hopefully kind of like bring back the city in its own way. And Laszlo comes along and he basically gets to confront this place he's loved learning about his entire life firsthand. And we as the reader, as well as Laszlo, begin to have to confront the complicated history of this place as well. Anyway, I recall this being beautiful and emotional, and I love Laini Taylor's writing, so I'm really looking forward to picking this up. And then the other book on my TBR is The Way Back by Gabrielle Savit, which is a historical fiction story that also kind of has a darker, fantastical component. It's set in a small village in Eastern Europe where basically like demons and creatures exist, and all the villagers are used to demons being around, and they even have their own land called the Far Country. And we follow 2 children who basically have to go on an adventure in the Far Country and make their way back home. This, I believe, is going to be another lyrical, beautiful, dark, sort of fairy tale-esque story. It was a National Book Award finalist, so I just think I'm truly gonna love it. But both of these books I'm hoping to read complete, start, and some degree over the course of this vlog. I feel like these are going to be emotional and beautiful and just like great winter pickup. So that's what I plan on reading. I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, can't wait. I'm almost done with my work day. It's a very gloomy day, so a good day to get some reading done. But that's it. Oh, hi, Millie. Oh, hi again. I read a solid 15 pages of this. I meant to read more before I'm leaving tonight because I'm going to a concert with my friend Emily. We're going to go see Beach Bunny, get some dinner. But I don't want to bore you with the details, but I had to call both my credit card company and an airline during the holidays. I was on hold for a long time. But anyway, I read 15 pages of this. I don't have much to say in terms of anything except the writing is beautiful as I remember. I'm going to read more tonight when I get home, but I'll take you along tonight as well. Oh, I wrapped a present for Clay. There it is. I don't think it'll focus if I zoom in, so. Oh, that's better. Ready for him to open on Christmas morning. Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to a very gloomy Wednesday. I'm up, I'm actually dressed, which I'm really proud of, and I actually wanted to check in and talk about Strange the Dreamer because I have not done a lot of reading, I feel like, in the first part of this vlog, but I finally have been sitting down and reading, and I have read just under the 100-page mark of this book. Well, I haven't had a lot of time to read, I guess, yesterday. Today is going to change all of that. One, because I'm loving Strange the Dreamer. Here's the thing, this is a reread for me. I already know I gave this book 5 stars in the past. It made one of my favorite books of the year video way back when it came out. But you just never know when you're picking up a book again for the second time. Like, is it gonna hit the same? Are you gonna enjoy it as much? And obviously I've only read just under the 100-page mark, but you know, when you just get this feeling when you pick up a book and it's just, you can just tell it's for you from the writing style and just the quality of the story. Everything about this book has just pulled me in immediately. Like, the character, our main character Laszlo so far is delightful. There's just this hint of history and magic, and the writing style is mesmerizing. But obviously I've given you guys a synopsis, but again, so far this book primarily follows our main character Laszlo Strange, and his last name is Strange because he is an orphan, and he was raised first by monks and in a very strict environment, a very strict childhood. He was 10 or 11 years old. He was sent to the library for an errand and then just never left. Like, he found his place. He was like, I am now surrounded by books. This is my dream. And he basically lived in the library and they made him an apprentice. So we follow Laszlo now as he's now a young man and he's been working in this library for many, many years. For Laszlo, his entire life, he's been fascinated by stories. Any type of story from any place from all around his world, but most of all, he has loved stories following one sort of mythical city in the middle of this desert. And he also distinctly remembers the day when the history and the name of the city lost from everyone's mind. Suddenly, he could no longer remember this powerful city's name, and it was replaced in his mind as the City of Weep. And slowly he began to realize that everyone forgot the name as well, and the city's history sort of transformed from one of like awe but still real to a city of legend. People now believe it's just a mythical fake city, but Laszlo himself is not so sure. Now, working in the library, he's basically dedicated himself to become the scholar of this lost place, and that's kind of where we find him in the first one. He's just so lovable. Laszlo, you just want to protect with all of your heart. He's so sweet. He's just like driven by this pursuit of knowledge and stories, and like he loves to read. And you also see him as he is often taken advantage of, like in the position that he is as a librarian. He's kind of on a very lowly level, so even though he's really smart and really ingenious and also knows a lot, people in his life have taken advantage of that knowledge and kind of have used it for their own gain. Obviously, we're gonna follow Laszlo as he finally gets to travel to this place that he has dreamed of going to his whole life. But so far, a lot of the story also is just about this idea of dreaming, this idea of thinking about what these characters want for the future, and a lot of them are trapped by a variety of different circumstances, but still they dream anyway. And Laszlo has a nickname of Strange the Dreamer because his dreams to them seem very strange. Also, his last name is Strange because he's an orphan. But Laszlo dreams anyway, and it's just beautiful. Yeah, so I'm in the very early parts of this book, but I can't wait to learn more about this lost city. It also mixes some magic. Obviously, the losing of the name itself was magic, but there's also things like alchemy and other small components of magic that have been introduced in the story so far. But just the writing style and Laszlo and the setting, it just feels like a fairy tale itself, and I'm just delighted by it so far. I had a feeling I would be. I kind of knew I would be. I've already read this book before, but I'm excited. I'm liking it as much as I am again. So I'm gonna sit down and read hopefully a lot today. I obviously have work I need to do. I did quite a bit of work this morning, but I don't know. I'm just gonna try to squeeze reading in where I can. I'm gonna make just like a simple lunch for myself right now. But I just wanted to say good morning. I've read, these are my thoughts, Strange the Dreamer. Here we are. Lunch today is simple comfort food, just some fried eggs with some Kewpie mayo, sriracha over some seasoned rice, which also has soy sauce. Should be tasty. As I now have my fresh cup of coffee and my book, and I'm going to join Matilda and do some reading in my reading chair. Gotta scoot over, Millie. I'm coming. So I've been reading, as you've been seeing, and I'm happy to report I've officially passed into part 3 of this book, and I'm just under the 200-page mark. I'm on page like 198. And wow, I'm loving this book so much. Given that I'm just under the halfway point, the full view of the story is definitely starting to take place. Just as emotional as I recall, like nothing so much has happened yet, but just like the setup and the types of things that Laini Taylor is clearly looking to unpack and discuss within the story, just kind of setting the stage. Like you can tell it's going to be one that is tragic in many, many different ways. But for context more about the story, obviously the last time we chatted, following one of our main characters, Laszlo, as he's beginning his journey to the city of Weep to finally answer some of the burning questions he's had his entire life, but also hopefully help this, you know, group of people who came from the city to help solve their problem, which they haven't really made clear what exactly the problem is, but now that they've arrived, it's becoming a bit clearer. The city of Weep itself was once a very powerful city. They were strong economically, they did a lot of trade, they were also very remote, but a very proud place, until one day the gods came. The gods came just out of the blue, out of the sky one day, and basically began their long and treacherous reign. Destruction, the pain they brought onto the populace of the city was ceaseless until one day the humans fought back and killed off the gods. But they didn't just kill off the gods, they also killed off their children, the half-god, half-human children that also lived in the Citadel where the gods lived. The Citadel hovers over the city itself, blocking out the sunlight. And while the humans thought all the gods and all their children have perished, actually 5 children survived, growing up in the shadow of the Citadel, basically scavenging to, you know, make it to the next day. And obviously as siblings growing closer together and relying on one another. And in a large part, their childhood was kind of existing within the crevices of the city, trying to obviously ensure that the human populace who killed their parents, killed their siblings in cold blood, don't know that they exist. And that is our second main perspective, and that is Sarai. And she's 17 and she was 2 years old once the day of carnage happened. And she is half god, half human. As I said, her skin is blue in the image of the gods that were their parents. And each of the siblings that we kind of encounter through her chapters have their own unique power. And Sarai's is very specific in that she basically can like spit out these moths, which allow her to touch everyone's dreams around her. And growing up in the beginning, she would bring nightmares down on the city of Weep and kind of her own version of vengeance and spite, obviously, for all the pain and suffering that was brought upon her, and also all of the confusion in terms of this conflict itself. But also being able to see all these dreams, she obviously has a very close window into so many different people's hearts and minds and thoughts, which has obviously made this situation ever so complicated. So here we are at the beginning of this book. We have a caravan of individuals coming to the city of Weep to destroy the remaining structure from the gods they think are long dead. And we're also reading from a perspective of a young girl who has lived in this citadel in secret with her siblings, just trying to survive since they were very young children. Both of these people are supposed to be mortal enemies. They both have done tragic and terrible things to each other. Obviously, the children who grew up in the Citadel didn't necessarily partake in any of the violence of their parents. And many of them are kind of confused between this desire for vengeance for their parents and for their siblings, but also, especially in Sarai's heart, understanding or a window into why they fought back against the treachery itself. It's an incredibly complicated situation. They also don't know that these half-god, half-human children even still exist and live here. And it's just gonna be so much pain, and I know it is. And I'm very curious to see how Laszlo is gonna become a part of this. I mean, I know their paths are gonna cross, but I'm interested in how. And again, dreams continue to be such a central plot element. Obviously, one of our main characters can literally touch the dreams, but it's also like in a metaphorical sense too. It's this desire for something greater than their current existence. Sarai wants to fly away with her siblings, escape this place that she's trapped in. Doesn't really know if she's going to ever have the opportunity to grow up and have a life for her own. She has big dreams, but she can only live through the dreams of other people. I die, I break. And then obviously Laszlo is trying to seize his dream by finally coming to it, which is traveling to the city of Weep itself. Anyway, I'm like 2/5 done with this book. It's so good. Again, I can see just the workings of what I know is going to just be an emotional onslaught. The writing is excellent, which I feel like I have to call out again, but just the setup of this book is so good. The writing and just the careful plotting is also so good as well. But yes, 200 pages down. I'm gonna take a little bit of a reading break, but just wanted to give you a check-in. Little, I don't know, Wednesday night dinner. I forgot how to speak for a second. And just like that, I am back home in bed with Matilda. As you saw, I got lunch with Clay, but I ended up meeting up with a friend I hadn't seen in many years. So it was lovely to meet up with her. But I don't know if you've noticed, my social calendar has been very full this week, but don't worry, I'm putting an end to that tomorrow. But I am in bed ready to go to sleep, but I am gonna do a bit more reading of Strange the Dreamer, read as much as I can, and then tomorrow I do plan to read much more, and also I don't have any evening plans. Tomorrow I'm just going to be reading and hanging out with Clay, hopefully watching some TV, but nonetheless I'm sleepy, so I'm going to go now, read, and most likely go to sleep. Good morning, everyone. Ignore all those boxes. Clay and I need to wrap our Christmas presents for our friends and family. But first, Matilda and I are gonna hang out, and I'm going to read more Strange the Dreamer. Hi friends, I wrapped up my reading this morning. I am about 275 pages into Strange the Dreamer. Still loving it. I have so much to say, but I'm dressed in one of my favorite outfits, plaid dress from Madewell from 2 winters ago, and I did film a video. As you can see, book pile remnant or rearrange. I also wanted to say I had lunch, which normally I always vlog a little clip of what I ate. But we had a little bit of a comedy of errors moment in that I was filming and Clay left our sandwiches kind of unattended and went to go do something for work. And we both heard rustling, but we had assumed it was the other person just eating. Well, no, it was Matilda who was eating, and she only ate Clay's sandwich. She left mine completely untouched. She was not interested. So shout out, I guess, to Matilda for not eating my sandwich too. But she looked very caught when we walked out, frozen. The thing is too, it's funny, like we were like, did she eat it? There's literally no trace, but like, of course she ate it. She just left no evidence behind. There's no body, but she definitely committed the crime. All right, friends, It's time for some iPad time. I'm gonna do some thumbnail creation. I mentioned on Instagram, I got an iPad because I'm trying to make fancier thumbnails for you and for my YouTube channel. So I have a bunch of screenshots. I'm gonna work on that now. Coffee. I'm exporting a vlog as we speak. It's a productive Thursday. I've just been iPadding. I made this thumbnail. It's my very first attempt. Ooh, is it going to load? It's my very first attempt at a style like this. She's learning. This isn't perfect, but you know what? I'm proud. I am just about wrapped up for the day. I need to answer some emails. I really was like, oh, I need to make this thumbnail urgently, and so I could ignore like other things I needed to do. But that's all right. I think Clay and I are gonna watch a movie tonight, and I'm definitely gonna read because Strange the Dreamer has completely captivated me, taken over my life. I'm obsessed with it. That's basically the story. Hello everyone. Actually, let me show you Matilda because she is here as well. Look at her. She's just sitting, enjoying, contemplating. But I wanted to do a reading check-in before I settled in for the evening, hung out with Clay, have dinner and all of that shenanigans, because I have passed the 300 page mark of Strange the Dreamer. So I have about 230 pages left, and I'm just loving this book so much. I mean, outside of just falling in love with the characters and feeling so emotionally attached to them, just the story itself, the quality of it, the things that Laini Taylor is trying to do and say in this, I just think it's really impressive, like how successful it is overall. Like, so many people love this book. I've loved this book in the past, but it's so nice to just love it again. But at this point in the story, obviously we're fully in our dual perspective aspect of this book. With Laszlo's chapters, it's really about him getting settled in the city of Weep, kind of working with other people who are trying to deal with this impossible problem, which is destroy the remnant of this god tower that's blocking out the sun, unlocking some of the history of what's around him. And obviously his chapters are, that is kind of the nature of his chapters from there. What's really drawn me in is Sarai's chapters. There's just so much nuance there. It's so complicated. The amount of pain the gods created a reaction by humanity that also created a lot of pain for innocent children that were kind of bystanders of this situation. It is obviously explored through Sarai's chapters with her and her siblings. They're all really close and have different powers, as I've mentioned, and one of them, who is the oldest, is Minya, and she is the one who's probably the most bullheaded about getting their vengeance. She is the most violent. She does a lot of things that are outwardly problematic. Her siblings are kind of fearful of her. They also try to call her out. But at the end of the day, they also can understand in a way, and so can we, where she's coming from. She, as a 6-year-old child, grabbed her siblings that are surviving and hid them. And that is the only reason why they are alive. And she feels the guilt of not being able to go back as a 6-year-old to save other god-spawn children. But like, you just see this painful legacy of the gods that are no longer there, wrapped up not only in their storyline, but also just hints of learning more background of other people that live in the city of Weep. It's just such a harrowing and heartbreaking situation that just doesn't feel like there is a solution. Like, people's anger is justified, people's desire for vengeance is justified, but it's justified in some instances on both sides for the people remaining, and it just creates such a murky situation. And obviously Sarai and her children, their chapters just break my heart because they want to survive. They're fearful of being discovered as these workers are trying to destroy the citadel in which they live in, for good reason. It's blocking the sun and also is a artifact of a terrible past, but that's also where they live, and they're scared of being discovered, and they feel like if they're discovered, they're going to need to fight to survive, to fight back. And none of them except Minya even want to fight, but they don't really know what to do. And it's just heartbreaking and stressful. But the story itself is just so beautiful. And obviously Sarai and Laszlo have made a minor connection at this point because, again, she has the ability to touch people's dreams in town, and she touched Laszlo's dream, and it seemed like he perceived her, which no one else has been able to do before. I'm just fallen headfirst into this book, and I just am so, it just feels just so well constructed, and I'm having a great time, basically. Even though I feel like I'm having an emotional time, it's still a great time because the book is so good. So I'm happy I've passed the 300 page mark. I'm for sure gonna read more tonight. I'm gonna try to get over the 400 page mark and wrap up this book tomorrow. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish start the other book on my TBR. I tend to be sometimes over ambitious, but what can you do? But that's my reading update. I'm gonna get changed in PJs, shower, all that stuff. Quick salad with some sweet potatoes, spinach. I just picked this up. It looks like I made it, but I didn't. But it's good. It has like chickpeas and pickled onions. So gonna eat this, get some spinach in me, which I could use. We were gonna watch a movie, but then we decided we wanted to catch up on The Landscapers, and we'll watch a movie this weekend.
Everything is gonna be all right.
The show is really interesting, both in its storyline and also just like how it's shot, but we're gonna watch. It's time for some ice cream. We're gonna go back to the show. Just only the good stuff in this household. And then I'm gonna go read Strange the Dreamer and cry. So I need some ice cream to make me feel better before that moment. All right, everyone, TV time is over. This book is also just so beautiful, but anyway, I'm gonna sit down and read. My goal is to read 100 pages before bed tonight, so wish me luck. I've read 50 pages. I've read 50 pages, Clay. But things are really starting to heat up, and I really don't remember how this book ends, so I'm real nervous about it. But the thing I wanted to quickly comment on before I go back to reading is I'm really loving how Lady Taylor is writing the meeting and just the relationship of our two main characters. It's so sweet. I mean, they're literally meeting in dreams, but it's like they're sharing their dreams and they're just being young teenagers, which they're living in a world where a lot of their youth has been taken from them in so many different ways, and like in meeting with each other, they're just able to be young kids, you know, flirting, having fun, running around, and it's just so sweet. But then like when faced with the reality of what's happening here, it makes it all the more like bittersweet, you know? But nonetheless, I just appreciate the kind of approach that she's taking to the romance. It doesn't really feel like insta love in any way. Like it feels very like first love. Like these people are meeting and they're like learning about each other and they're sharing their innermost thoughts, which they haven't really had an opportunity to kind of have a relationship like this, and that, you know, like a stranger outside of their family, someone they feel like they can speak to candidly. Oh, it's too much. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to reading. Good morning, friends. I've actually been up for a while, but I had a very early meeting, which I wrapped. But I wanted to say hello. I did read to page 400 of Strange the Dreamer last night. So impeccable. Plan is obviously to finish it today. It's Friday end of the week. Woo! And look at that. I'm up and dressed and everything. So I just wanted to say good morning-ish. It's like 11 a.m. But I'm back. I'm actually gonna have a cup of coffee, do some work. But I do plan on reading much more of this today. I'll give you guys more of an update. Obviously, post update that I gave you last night, where I'm basically just obsessed with everyone in this story. It's so good. Like, oh my gosh, this is the kind of YA I love. Like this, more of this. Sparkly shoes. Okay, anyway, good morning, happy Friday. I'm gonna go work. Forever eating soups in this household. And smoothies. Today, Matilda, you are not getting any of our lunch. No, ma'am. That was a one-time deal. I've powered through my work as quickly as I possibly could to enjoy this gloomy late afternoon light before the sun goes down, and I am going to read the last 130 pages of Strange the Dreamer. I don't have any new things I particularly want to say. I kind of want to save it for the final wrap up, the home stretch. I've also edited this entire vlog to this point, so I feel like I have nothing fresh to deliver until I encounter the end, which I just know is going to physically ruin my life. That's what I feel like is going to happen. So really looking forward to that. But in the meantime, it's time for me to get to reading, because that's what I've been waiting all day for. Hi guys, it's Reagan, and I am just checking in a few days later to wrap up Strange the Dreamer, because I did finish this book and I wasn't wrong when I thought it might destroy me. I read the entirety of this book, which was 532 pages over the course of this week, which I would say is pretty dang good. I loved this book from beginning to end, from the writing to the characters, just the emotional stakes of everything. I also found the plot to be really hard to put down. Like, as much as I feel like this book was so like writing forward and character work forward, like there were quite a few moments that left me shocked and also made me like, I can't put this book down. I need to know what's happening next. Including in that is the ending, which is just like, I do not know what I am gonna do. Like, how did I read this when this came out and then just not immediately read the second one? Because it's like the heart palpitations I'm currently having just thinking about how this is going to wrap up based at the end of the conflict. It's going all over the place, but oh my gosh, I just loved this from beginning to end. And the ending was so good, so emotional. The only thing I can do about this book is applaud it. I do feel like it wrapped up very, very successfully and created a very interesting foundation for the second book, which I do hope to read soon. I think this whole concept of obviously like all this generational trauma and the complicated nature of this relationship between the humans, the gods, and the god spawn. Obviously the god spawn are completely innocent, and they're a byproduct though of a lot of pain and control by their own parents. It's just such a messy situation, and a concept was also brought up at the end, which has to do with kind of like a legacy and what's gonna happen next, which I just have truly no idea. But I loved this book. I thought it was exceptional. 5 out of 5 stars. By far and away one of the best YA books I have read in a while. I truly loved every single second of this. But I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. And again, big shout out to Saturn Bird Coffee for sponsoring this video. And I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye.